this is, I'm going to teach you all a technique. It's something that works for me. It's going to how to raise your vibration in a matter of seconds, literally. Once you figure out how it works, it works really easy. By the end of the evening, which is going to be short, you'll know how to create a ripple of energy, how to create a wave of energy, and how to create a current of energy. And how I got started in this, or how it worked for me, is that I had retired and I was watching my 8-year-old granddaughter on her summer vacation between the 3rd and 4th grade. So as a grandparent, you always want to teach your kids some kind of spiritual truth. You know, like the golden rule, treat others the way you want to be treated. So I'm thinking, well, you know, I'm going to see her every day for 5 days, all day long. So I wanted to be able to share something that, you know, I think that she could use. So this is how I explain to my granddaughter in trying to teach some of these spiritual truths. And this is a real simple, easy technique. So the way I explained it to her was that when scientists looked at the smallest unit, and they, with their electron microscope at what they call the subatomic level, they called it the quantum field because those tiniest units were just little units of energy, little specks of light. And this quantum field, I told her, fills the universe like a cosmic ocean. And it's filled with galaxies. And the galaxies are filled with solar systems, and the solar systems have suns and planets and moons and life on some of those planets. And everything gives off an electromagnetic field, a wave that comes off them. The galaxies do, planets, stars, plants, animals, and of course people. So I explained to her that this cosmic ocean is filled with not only electromagnetic waves, it's also filled with gravity waves and radiation waves. And as well as just like man pollutes the water in the ocean, he also pollutes the cosmic ocean with telephone, cell phones, TV, radio waves, microwaves, and some waves they probably don't even tell us about. So as I was telling her about this stuff, I explained to her that researchers, that they called, some of them called this quantum field the source field. Some of them called it the divine matrix. Well, since I'm explaining it to my granddaughter, I just say it's a cosmic ocean that we can't see with our visible eyes, with the visible spectrum, like we can just see the rainbow colors. So anyway, this cosmic ocean is not only filled with all these different waves, they're also filled with thought waves. And I explained that all human beings have the ability to create thought waves. We all do it, whether we realize it or not. And the way the scientists had figured this out was kind of interesting. What they did is they took people from all walks of life, young, old, professional, non-professional. They even took homeless people off the streets, taught them this technique, and within seconds they were able to raise their vibration. So as they were mapping the brain, what they did is they hooked people up with sensors. They took blood before the experiments, blood after experiments to do, analysis on the blood, see what happens. And they did MRI so they could see exactly what's going on the brain. So as they were measuring wavelengths, vibrations, the electromagnetic field, what's going on in the brain at the same time. And they found that while they were mapping, that the left hemisphere is like the analytical side. It does the reading, writing, arithmetic. And then the right is the imagination, creativity, passion, feelings, and emotions. Most people use the left side. Typically artists, musicians, writers, they use the right side. They found that very seldom do people use both sides at the same time. And so usually you'll use one or the other. So what they found is, as they were doing these experiments, they found that when both sides of the brain are being used, both hemispheres, the left and the right, that something happens to the brain. When they're looking at the sensors, the brain lights up and on both sides. And then what happens, it looks like that the brain produces a chemical that goes into your bloodstream that makes you healthy. something that's good for you. Whatever's needed. So everybody's going to have something different. So apparently your brain produces whatever you need. And so what they did was they showed pictures of babies laughing, people smiling, helping each other. And they noticed that it creates a high vibration wavelength. And then they measured the electromagnetic wave that comes off people. And they noticed that when people vibrate at this high rate, that the electromagnetic field goes out several feet. So they recalibrated their little machine that measured that, and they did it again, and it went out even further. So they recalibrated again, and it went out further. So it went out, they kept on doing it until the machine wouldn't do it anymore. They didn't, the technology hadn't caught up to go that far. But the inference being is that apparently these waves go out forever. And so anyway, then they showed pictures of people frowning, people that are angry, people fighting, war, and it produces this low vibration wave. And the electromagnetic field actually condenses to just a few inches from that. And when it does that, it creates stress on the body. And what happens when the body is stressed, if you're like in fear, your brain produces a chemical that they call fight or flight. Like if you're running from a predator or you're in fear for your life, your body produces a chemical so you can run faster, heart beats faster. But this is supposed to be temporary. Unfortunately, we live in a society where they cause stress and fear all the time, so which clearly isn't healthy. Well, this is how they figured out how the placebo effect works on some people and not on others. What they did is they took sugar pills and they told this pill is the latest drug that's going to help your condition, whatever that condition was. And they said, so what they did is they divided this group of people into 3 groups. The first group took the sugar pill. The second group took the sugar pill, but they were told to read an affirmation when you get up in the morning, during the day, before you go to bed. And then the third group, they told the same thing. Take the sugar pill, or they didn't call it sugar pill, but anyway, take the pill and then read this affirmation. But when you read the affirmation, we want you to do something different. That is, we want you to use your imagination by imagining what is it that you want to do that you can't do because you're sick. So like some people like snow skiing. So they're supposed to imagine them snow skiing and what it feels like, the cold air in their face or whatever. If it was water skiing, then it would spray water hitting them. Some people hiking, some people biking, walking. But that what we're supposed to do is use your imagination, imagine what it would feel like, as if it's already happened, that you can do these things. And sure enough, it was that third group that had the placebo healing effect. So this is what they figured out, that it turns out that if you read an affirmation as if it's already happened, you are using your right brain. And then if you add emotion, feeling, creativity, and then imagine love, gratitude, and appreciation welling up from your heart as you're reading this affirmation, instantly your brain waves start vibrating at a high rate, higher frequency, and then your electromagnetic field just expands way out when you do that. And then your brain starts producing a chemical that goes into your bloodstream that will make you healthy. Now, we have technology now, like the Hubble telescope and other satellites, where you can actually see and measure things that we couldn't see before. And the scientists have told us that we're going through, our whole solar system is going through this cloud of charged particles. And apparently, this happens every 26,000 years. So just like it takes apparently a year for the sun to go, for the Earth to go around the sun, it takes 26,000 years for the sun to go around the galaxy. And now they see that there's this cloud of charged particles that our solar system goes through every 26,000 years, and we've been going through that for a while. And they said that these charged particles are going through everything. They're going through the sun, they're going through the planet, they're going through us. And so it's causing everything to change. They've noticed that all the planets seem to be heating up. There's things going on that they're noticing, and that they're starting to see that it looks like everything is evolving. And this is cyclic. It happens every 26,000 years. So that they said it stands to reason that as these particles pass through us, if we are vibrating at the low end, it's going to have one effect, but if we're vibrating at the high end, it's going to have a different effect. So it's not wrong to have a negative thought. We all have them. But you don't want to dwell on them. You want to change it. So how do you change it? You change it by remembering emotions are frequencies. Emotions are vibrations. Negative emotions create one type of vibration. Positive emotions create a higher vibration. So when you have a bad emotion, whether it's frustration, anger, whatever, it doesn't matter. Once you realize that, what most people do, at least what I do, that I beat myself up for, oh gosh, you're having this issue again. Well, what they say to do is instead be grateful and thankful that your higher self has made you aware of it. Because the very fact that you're aware of it is a change. So once you become aware of this negative emotion that you have, then you change it by being grateful and thankful to your higher self for making you aware of it. And then you do the opposite, whatever that is, to raise your vibration and think of something different. Again, it's not wrong to have a bad negative thought, but you don't want to dwell on it. So they said that there's a universal consciousness that's in this quantum field, ocean of consciousness, vibrating. Some people is vibrating at the low end, and some people in this ocean of consciousness is vibrating at the high end. And they now know that we will vibrate at whatever we put our attention on. So it's up to you. You can change what you put your attention on. So I'm telling my granddaughter that, I can do this. I can make some affirmations that are positive as if they're already happened and make it short so it fits on a page. And when we read it with our imaginations, feelings, and emotions. Well, my granddaughter, she's a Girl Scout. And Girl Scouts use a lot of hand motions in their songs and games, and they seem to like that a lot. So I decided I use a little extra creativity, and I use hand motions as I'm doing these affirmations. You don't certainly have to do that. Do it whatever your imagination suggests to you, because that's the whole point. Your imagination is the right side of the brain. So when you read an affirmation, you always want to read it with an imagination. So what you would do, you would read it as if your higher self is talking to you. Because if you read it as if your higher self is talking to you, then that is your imagination. That's the right side of the brain. So that you can do like there's 7 of them. I call them ripples because that's exactly what they are. You can do one a day in the morning, during the day, and before you go to bed. I put them in plastic sleeves and plastic folders so they're real durable so you can carry them around with you. But we've got to remember for it to work, you need to use both sides of your brain, the left and the right. So your imagination, you read it as if it's your higher self talking to you and that this has already happened. And then you want to imagine love and appreciation, gratitude welling up from your heart, because that's important, because that's one of the keys to it. That when you imagine that's coming up from your heart, that's what raises your frequency, and then your brain will release a chemical into your body that will help. It'll only be a good thing. When they were doing to the homeless people, one of the questions about how we're going to explain to them. And it turns out even these homeless people who have obviously tragic lives, there's always something in their life that they remember of an incident of love and appreciation and gratefulness. And so that's what they did. Whatever it was, ever how long, it doesn't matter. And just think about that, what that felt like. And they were able to do it every time. So it's something that we all can do. Now, obviously this isn't the only way to raise your vibration. There's a lot of ways to raise your vibration. Meditation, prayer, chanting, music. This is just a short, quick way of doing it. Just consider this as another tool in your toolbox to help you on your spiritual growth. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read the first affirmation using my left brain hemisphere. And this is going to create an electromagnetic field that, if we had all the instruments, it would be measured as a ripple going out. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to read it again, but I'm going to use the right side of the brain, and then this would be measured as a wave, because I'm using my imagination, creativity, as well as imagining my higher self as talking and love welling up from my heart. And then that's going to create a wave. And by the time I do 7 of these, it's going to be a current. Because you got to imagine, just like we're in this cosmic ocean, and just like if you're in water in a pool, how you move your arms around, you're moving water around. It works the same way in this cosmic ocean. Our thoughts move things. All of our thoughts are vibrations. Obviously, negative thoughts are low vibrations, positive thoughts are high vibrations. So, as I read these, it's going to affect all of us here. My vibration is going to be rising. Now, as it rises, your vibration is going to rise too, because your electromagnetic field is meshing with mine. Mine's meshing with yours. So as my vibration rises, yours is going to be affected. And people who are intuitive and sensitive, you actually may be able to pick up on it. Some people have. So, and as you're listening, if you use your imagination while you're listening, that this is your higher self talking to you, your brain may very well produce a chemical in your brain that's going to make you healthier, whatever that may be. So, what I want to do, let me read this affirmation using just the left brain. This is ripple number 1. I will broadcast these thoughts as a ripple of energy throughout the quantum field's ocean of consciousness. Now that I know that we're all connected, we're all one, I can be whatever I want to be. I am consciously aware in the present moment that I am the divine expression and representation of the quantum field. Therefore, I can do whatever I want to do. My thoughts of love and compassion for all drives out the dark forces, ministers and heals people, freeing them from their bondage and restoring them to their spirit, as I focus on the good news of the dawning of the quantum field in all of us. So as a result, I can have whatever I want to have. I have everything I need, both spiritually and materially, to live a life of abundance and joy, gratitude and thankfulness. I have love and compassion for all. So I can see I can become whomever I want to become. I am limitless, empowered, a creative genius who's invincible and victorious in whatever I put my mind to, because I'm consciously aware in the present moment that I am the divine expression and representation of the quantum field. Thank you, for I'm grateful it's already happened, because in the ocean of consciousness, we're all connected. We're all one. Okay, so that's just reading. So if you read this, this is going to be a good thing. Because what happens when you read stuff like this, it's going to change the way you think. It actually gets registered in your brain, your synapses and stuff like that. So there's a lot of things that happen. But now, if you read it using the right brain, this is where you goes from a ripple to a wave. So let me do that. If I could if you could get the lights for me. Again, you don't have to do it this way. I just did this because I was teaching my granddaughter. But like I said, when you do it, use whatever your imagination suggests, because that's kind of the whole point. Okay, here we go. I will use these thoughts to broadcast a ripple of energy throughout the quantum field's ocean of consciousness. Now that I know we're all connected, we're all one, I can be whatever I want to be. So I am consciously aware in the present moment that I am the divine expression and representation of the quantum field. Therefore, I can do whatever I want to do. My thoughts of love and compassion for all drives out the dark forces, ministers and heals people, freeing them from their bondage and restoring them to their spirit. As I focus on the good news of the dawning of the quantum field in all of us. So as a result, I can have whatever I want to have. I have everything I need, both spiritually and materially. I live a life of abundance, joy, gratitude, thankfulness. I have love and compassion for all, so I can see I can become whomever I want to become. I'm limitless, empowered, a creative genius who's invincible and victorious in whatever I put my mind to, because I'm consciously aware in the present moment that I am the divine expression and representation of the quantum field. Thank you. I'm grateful it's already happened, because in the ocean of consciousness, we're all connected. We're all one. Okay, ripple number 2. Ripple number 2. Practice visualizing and broadcasting this happening to you right now in the ocean of consciousness, because it actually is. I am the light of the world. The light of the quantum field is in me, and I will let the light shine from within me. I'm a special vessel of the quantum field, and I'm at one with the quantum field's presence. As I walk in the world, I bear forth the light of the quantum field. I'm a special person. The energy of the quantum field works with, in, and through me to accomplish everything good. I'm successful in all that I do. I'm good at my work. I can and will do every task given to me well. I will shine in my job. I am healthy. I am happy. I am successful and prosperous. I'm an intelligent person and will understand whatever I choose to study. I'm creative. Creativity comes naturally to me. I am loving and will experience love. I'm connected to everything and all that lives. All beings and creatures are my relations. I'm always under divine protection, and I'm never powerless, for the energy of the quantum field is within me. I'm empowered by the quantum mother and father, illuminated and embraced by the quantum bride and groom. I am a child of light. I look forward to the realization of the quantum field in all of us, because in the ocean of consciousness, we're all connected. We're all one. Ripple number 3. Other thoughts and suggestions to broadcast a ripple of energy throughout the quantum field's ocean of consciousness. From now on, my self-conscious asks my subconscious to ignore my misinterpretations of experiences due to my bad reasoning. Instead, be guided by my superconscious and set my body in perfect order, and through wisdom, guide me in all my affairs and give me the strength, the ability, and the persistence to accomplish all I need to do. And happening right now, I am in the right place, at the right time, with the right people, having the right intention, doing the right action. I'm making the right choices, the right commitments, having the right responsibilities, and making the right evaluations. So I'm visualizing this. I'm always aware that I am the divine expression and representation of the quantum field. So I love all the cells of my body. And that makes me healthy. My voice is clear, melodious, and soothing, and I'm always smiling and encouraging to others. So when people visit with me, they can see I have love and compassion for all. Therefore, it drives out the dark forces, ministers and heals people, freeing them from their bondage and restoring them to their spirit. As I focus on the good news, and I'm helping people both spiritually and materially whenever the need arises, and I'm looking good and feeling great doing it, because I'm aware in the ocean of consciousness, we're all connected. We're all one. Ripple number 4. Broadcasting the energy ripple in the ocean of consciousness in all 6 directions. Above, below, east, west, north, and south. Or above, below, front, behind, left, and right. A very simple practical exercise that takes no effort to perform. Remember, we're receiving energy all the time from the quantum field. Our thoughts and intentions in our brains create an electronic signal, and our feelings and emotions in our heart creates a magnetic signal. So with every breath that we take and every beat of our heart, we're broadcasting an electromagnetic signal throughout the quantum field all the time, whether we're aware of it or not. And the vibration that we send out looks for similar vibrations to draw back to us. So we need to practice being in the moment and become mindful of our thoughts all the time. This exercise is easy and will help everyone. Begin your day with it. Let it be your last practice before going to bed. Begin by being still. And in that stillness, use whatever method your imagination suggests to you to deepen your consciousness that your personality is maintained by a stream of vibrating influences flowing into it and out of it. Try to see that all power is yours at every moment of your existence. Then when your consciousness has been intensified by the first part of the practice, deliberately send out that same power from your personal center. And with it, bless all other forms of existence, whether they seem to be friendly or hostile, known or unknown. Follow the current of energy as it flows outward, and bless all things and creatures above you. Follow it again, and bless all things and creatures below. Let your third blessing follow the outgoing toward the east, the west, the north, the south. Or if you're not sure of your directions, in front of you, behind you, to your left, to your right. It's very simple and easy. It takes no effort. Just remember, your part is to send the message of blessing in all 6 directions. Blessing because this includes every possible good. Healing, harmony, peace, love and compassion for all, and the awakening of the light of our true nature in the ocean of consciousness, that we're all connected, we're all one. Ripple number 5. The tree of life pattern in the blueprint of consciousness. This is truth about the 7. 0. All the power that ever was or will be is here now. 1. I am a center of expression for the quantum field which eternally creates and sustains the universe. 2. Through me, its unfailing wisdom takes form in thought and word. 3. Filled with understanding of its perfect law, I'm guided moment by moment along the path of liberation. 4. From the exhaustless riches of its limitless substance, I draw all things needful, both spiritual and material. 5. I recognize the manifestation of the undeviating justice in all the circumstances of my life. 6. In all things, great or small, I see the beauty of the divine expression. 7. Living from that will, supported by its unfailing wisdom and understanding, mine is the victorious life. 8. I look forward with confidence to the perfect realization of the eternal splendor of the limitless light. 9. In thought, in word, and deed, I rest my life from day to day upon the sure foundation of eternal being. 10. The kingdom of the quantum field is embodied in my flesh, because in the ocean of consciousness, we're all connected. We're all one. Ripple number 6. I am a sacred flame in action in me now. I am a sacred flame, to light alone I bow. I am a sacred flame in mighty cosmic power. I'm in the quantum field, shining every hour. I am a sacred flame, pulsing with my heart, sending waves of love is the way to start. I am a sacred flame, blazing like the sun. I'm in the quantum field, loving everyone. I am a sacred flame that no one can ever steal, because my light shines brighter in the quantum field. I am a sacred flame, but not the only one, because we are all connected. We are all one. Number 7. Resentment or judgment. In all these cases, the individual is not being loved, but simply kind of going through the motions of love, and thereby never really connecting to the energy field. The best way to connect to the energy field and remove the obstacles to the awareness of love's presence within oneself is by doing this powerful exercise called the love's pathway. 1. You close your eyes and breathe deeply 3 or 4 times while saying to yourself 3 or 4 times this phrase: I am the full expression of God's love. Just as God is love, so am I. I am love. I am the full expression of God's love. Just as God is love, so am I. I am love. I am the full expression of God's love. Just as God is love, so am I. I am love. Number 2. Hold in mind the image of someone you love. This could be a family member, a spouse, boyfriend, girlfriend, significant other. Then imagine yourself putting your arms around that person in a loving embrace while simultaneously saying, I love you, in your mind. Hold on to this feeling of love and allow it to spread throughout your entire being. Number 3. While holding on to this feeling of love, silently say to yourself, I feel love. And then after a few moments, mentally say, I feel God. And then finally, in your mind, say, thank you, allowing the feeling of gratitude and appreciation to wash over you. 4. Remain in this state of love for a few minutes. Imagine the love in you radiating outward in an egg-shaped sphere of vibratory energy that flows out into all the world, solar system, galaxy, to the ends of the universe. You may repeat this process, holding in mind the image of another loved one in the next cycle, and still another loved one in the next cycle. Or you can do as some people go through every member of your family in succession. Or you can do, obviously, just one person. Just hold in mind the thoughts of the person who naturally and easily causes you strong feelings of love to be generated within you. The profound effect of this exercise cannot be emphasized enough. It may seem disarmingly simple, but it awakens in you the feelings you didn't know you had. You'll learn the secrets of your heart and the extent which you can love another human being, especially yourself. It will also magnify the love you already have for those you love and create a deeper bond between you and them. Because in the ocean of consciousness, we're all connected. We're all one. So those are the 7 ripples. If you get the lights. So again, when you read an affirmation, you want to use both sides of your brain, your imagination, passion and feelings. And then if you do that, it'll produce that chemical in your body that makes you healthy. And this is how the placebo effect worked. The reason it worked in that group was that they were doing that with feeling. And they found out the ones in the second group that just read the affirmation, some of them experienced, but it turned out because they were having that emotion, that feeling. They were actually feeling it, so that's why it worked with them. So now, as far as the sources, just so you know, I got these ripples 1 and 2 are from the writings of Tal Malachi's commentary on the Gnostic Gospel of St. Thomas, paraphrased from my grandchildren. Ripples 3, 4, and 5 are from the writings of Paul Foster Case, paraphrased from my grandchildren. Ripple 6 is from the writings called The Summit Lighthouse, The Violent Flame, paraphrased from my grandchildren. Ripple 7 is from the writings of Carnelian Sage, The Greatest Manifestation Principle in the World, which I paraphrased from my grandchildren. Also, I listed in here the Heart Math Organization, marinajacoby.com, sophia.org, and Builders of the Atom, BOTA organization. So they're all listed there if you want to read up on all this stuff. So I'm going to pass these out.
Can we get a copy of that?
Do what?
Can we buy or get a copy of that?
No, I'm going to hand them out. You're going to get one right now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I made, these are in plastic folders and plastic sleeves.
That is awesome.
So you can carry it around, put it in the car, it's not going to get messed up.
This is so thoughtful and great. Thank
Well,
you.
you know, for me, this is a work of love. I mean,
It's a treasure. It's a treasure.
Oh, yeah,
Thank you.
and if you do it really, if you do it on a regular basis, you will see that you change. Everything changes. The way you think of things, the way you look at things. And what happens by sending that vibration out, that high vibration out, you're drawing other high vibrations back to you, and you'll be amazed at the things that happen. They call it synchronicity. All sorts of things will happen. So it'll be, you know, a good thing certainly if you do it that way. Even if you don't do that, if you just read it, it's going to make a change in you. So I think you'll all enjoy it. Do y'all have any questions about it? Yeah.
You're absolutely brilliant. Thank you
Thank
so much for sharing yourself with us
Thank
and
you.
in the way that you even showed your granddaughter. That was amazing.
Yeah.
I enjoyed every
By the end of the summer, she was tired of hearing it. But see, I'm confident that her subconscious, it's registered in her subconscious. So it's going to do a good thing in the long run.
How old is she now?
She's 10. She's 10.
She will never forget it.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm thinking too. I mean, that's what I'm anticipating. If y'all, you can share this with somebody. Feel free to make copies. I would suggest if you do make copies, put it in a plastic sleeve because you want them to carry it around. And the reason I use the black folders is when I had the black colored folders, I end up writing on them to get dirty and stuff. Black just doesn't show dirt, so that's the reason I did it. Yeah.
I was just wondering out of curiosity if you had this recorded on some form of social media or something.
No, but I think we do now.
Great.
This will be on YouTube. Okay, there we go. So we'll be on YouTube.
It's really nice to hear your voice so that you can go deep as you need to go without having to read. So I think
Sure,
that's
sure,
really
yeah,
nice to
yeah.
have that.
And like I said, repetition is the key to anything. I mean, like I said, I was just reading this to my granddaughter, you know, every day, several times a day. And so just by reading it, I've got it memorized pretty much. You'll find though, like I said, as you do it, that you'll start seeing things and feeling things. You know, so it's kind of exciting what happens. Yeah.
Like the first thing that you read, I listened. But when you put on, the gloves and the words, whoa, it just kind of went way in.
Well, that was by accident. What happened, I've only been sharing this with in people's living rooms and backyards. And during Halloween, I was having a Halloween party for the neighborhood kids, and I had the black lights set up on the back porch so their costumes would pop, And so some neighbors were there, and I was explaining how this technique works. That it's real simple, anybody can do it. And they were like, and I had all this on because of Halloween, and they're going, wow. So I thought, hey, I might do that instead. So anyway, that's how that came about, just by accident. Yeah.
Does your hair naturally glow like
No.
that?
It's actually, it's that glow stuff you can get at Walmart.
That
Yeah.
was so cool.
No. I put it in my hair. I actually had it on my eyebrows, but I was sweating, and I was doing this, and I realized I wiped the eyebrows off. But anyway, yeah, it's in my, so I'll have to shower it off. But I was afraid that if you have it on when the lights are on, you don't really notice it. Although somebody might say, "You got dandruff," because they're all little specks. No, but it turns out it's pretty effective, though.
Very effective.
Yeah.
When we're reading this, how do we just activate both sides of our hemisphere?
Yeah, so what you do is as you read, you want to imagine, and that's the key, you imagine your higher self talking to you.
Okay.
That this is your higher self talking to you.
Okay.
And so as you're reading it, your higher self talking to you, and then while you're reading it, imagine love welling up from your heart. Some people like to use a green light because of the chakra or whatever. Use whatever your imagination suggests, which is the point, to use your But when you have love and appreciation and gratitude well up, that's what actually does the triggering of the chemicals. And the way they figured out is that when they had these people do this on these tests, and they were monitoring them, is when they told them the expression of love and appreciation and gratitude, that's when it spiked. And so then when they took the blood test, they saw that the chemicals in the blood that weren't in there before. So, which makes sense, because when you think about it, there's always opposites. So when you're in fear, you have that flight or fight syndrome, that your brain produces the adrenaline and whatever. So the opposite of fear would be love. And so that's why they said, you have to imagine love and appreciation and gratitude welling up within your heart, because that's the opposite of fear. The fear is what puts the, I don't know what they call it, cortisone or whatever it is in your body that's, that's not healthy. I mean, it's only supposed to be temporary, like from running from the lion. But like I said, we live in a society, not only are we bombarded with fear all the time, television shows and movies and stuff, that creates the same emotion. And so just got to remember, feelings and emotions are frequencies. And so again, it's not wrong to have that emotion. It's just you don't want to dwell on it over and over, because that's the vibration you're going to draw them back to you. I mean, I've known people who, I'm sure you do too, that they're always in a rut. Bad things are always happening to them all the time, and they're always there to tell you what they are. And so see, they're focusing on it over and over and over. That vibration goes out and draws back to it. The science kind of explains that if you take a handful of dirt, put it in a cup of water, and stir up that cup of water, it's real muddy. But you set it on a mantle or a counter for several days, you'll notice after several days it all settles to the bottom, and it's in layers. The sediment's in layers. And they say that's due to the vibration of the different sizes being drawn to them. Or if you take a handful of dirt, put it in a pan, and vibrate the bottom of the pan, the big pebbles go to one side and the little go on. So it's just math, it's science. Is that if you have negative thoughts, don't dwell on it. Just once you become aware of it, that's a good thing. You became aware of it, so you thank your higher self for letting you be aware of it, and then you just change it. You just don't want to focus on it over and over and over. So, it's a real simple process. And if you start doing it on a regular basis, you'll actually see that synchronicity. Those things happen to you. So I know it works. Yeah?
I was wondering, are you retired?
Yeah, that's why I was able to watch my granddaughter.
And so what was your career before?
I started off, I was in the Coast Guard. I had a brother in the Army, one in the Navy, one in the Air Force, and I had a couple years college, so they said, join the Coast Guard. I wouldn't have to go to Vietnam. And so I joined the Coast Guard. And I got out as an E6, and I went to work for an aerospace company on working graphic arts, painting pictures on in a color terminal in a dark room, which is a great job. And I did that for a long time until the company was sold. And those kind of jobs are hard to find because nobody quits those jobs. Who wants to quit a job where you're getting paid big bucks in a dark room on a color computer? So I had to kind of change. I went to work for Verizon Wireless, and that's where I retired at. Verizon Wireless. I was a customer service rep.
For the longest time, though, that you were able to create what you pictured in your mind.
Yeah, and the way it kind of started was I was in Verizon Wireless in Seattle, Washington. My wife works at Half Price Books, and she got transferred up there. And I had two sons, and they didn't have kids, but they started dating. And next thing you know, they get married and they start having kids. And of course, any grandparent, you want to be close to your grandkids. We love Seattle. We didn't really want to mow, but we wanted to be with the grandkids. So anyway, we wanted to get transferred here. So about that time, if you remember that book, The Secret, came out about focusing. And so we wound up, we moved, my boys lived in Watauga, Texas. And so my wife made an index card because Seattle has mass transit. We rode buses and trains everywhere. So anyway, so I was on the bus, I'd read this card. And when we wrote it, I said, we want to be transferred to Watauga, Texas, and I want to live closer to our kids. And my wife says, whoa, you got to be a lot more specific. I said, that's pretty specific. No. Say you want to live right next door to your kids. I said, no, come on, that's not realistic. That's what they said, let's do it. So sure enough, she wrote, we want to move to Watauga, Texas, and live next door to our kids. And so I read that thing every day on the bus for over a year. But after a year, Verizon Wireless contacted me and says, there's an opening in Watauga, Texas. Do you want it? yeah, you know. So we got, and also since we lived in Seattle, we didn't have a car because we had mass transit. So I know Texas isn't big on mass transit, so we would have to get a car. So that was one of the things we had, and we would need a car to get there. So anyway, so I get transferred here, and we're staying with my son until we find an apartment. We're looking for an apartment and everything. And we weren't there more than 2 weeks, and the house next door to my son goes up on the market. Like, and I'm going, whoa, and Nancy goes, I told you so. So I realized that when you have emotion and feeling and passion, and you're focusing and using your imagination, that's why affirmations don't work for everybody. They just read the affirmation, but they don't really feel it. And so apparently that's one of the keys, is using both sides of your brain and the feeling and emotion. I mean, Greg Braden tells the story about he was out in New Mexico, around Santa Fe, and he was with some Indian friend of his, and there was a drought going on. And he went with his Indian friend, and his Indian friend, here, wait, I gotta go out here. And he walks several feet away from him and takes his shoes off and just stands there for a few minutes, looks down, looks up, puts his shoes back, comes back. They went home, and that evening they had the biggest rainstorm they ever had. So Greg talks to his friend, what happened? Well, you didn't do no rain dance. I didn't see you dancing out there. He said, no. I said, all I did was take off my shoes, and I imagined what it felt like to feel mud squishing between your toes. If you've ever done that, you know what that feeling's like. He said, and that's what he did. So the point being is that feelings and emotions are a good thing if you use them correctly. And apparently that's probably what faith is in the Bible when they talk about, have faith as if it's already happened. And that's probably what they were talking about. Except now, it's more of a science. Now they kind of understand how all that works together.
I think the description of faith in the Bible is to believe in what you cannot see and you cannot touch.
Yeah, but when you believe and you feel it, the emotion, see, that's what it is. Yeah, that sends out that vibration. Yeah, Phil.
I was just going to say, do you remember the end of that story?
Which one?
Greg Brady was his friend that did the ceremony with him.
No, I believe it. He said it flooded, I thought.
It did. It
Yeah.
flooded, and he just looked at him later in the day and he says, I just don't know how to make it stop.
There you go. Yeah. So be careful what you ask for, you may get it.
Exactly.
But so that's the real key in using both sides of your brain, is to imagine as if it's already happened, and imagine what it feels like, and the emotions and the feelings. And that's for some people that's hard to do. But it's like anything else. The more times you do it, the easier it gets. At least that's been my experience. Anybody have any other questions? Yeah.
A lady from Venezuela called Connie Mendez.
Mm-hmm.
She has some wonderful books on metaphysics, and it's similar. One of her affirmations is similar to The Secret, and she says that we should ask, I wish that we should write it down, and that we should read it every morning and every night, just like you were doing with your affirmation. I say, I wish, because when we say I, we're identifying the good source, and then the request, and then in harmony with everyone, according to the divine will, under the grace and the perfect manner. Thank you, God, amen.
Yeah, that's a good way of doing it, for sure. Yeah. You'll notice on these that are written, you'll notice a lot of them are I am statements. And so that's,
this is really awesome.
Yeah. And they're all real short, they're all on one page, so like I said, you can read just one
They're
a
powerful.
day.
They're good.
Yeah, well, I know they work because I would say probably a month after I started doing this, I started thinking differently. Or let me put it this way, I became more aware of my thoughts. Before, I was all over the place. With whatever happened, the emotions were all. But after about a month of doing this, I became aware of everything I felt, which wasn't the way I was before. So I know it changed me. And so, for me, I know it works. I'm sure it works for everybody else.
Did it work? Did it change your granddaughter at all?
I would say I'd like to think it did, but like I said, every day. She had it pretty much memorized just because repetition is the key to learning. So she was able, to say back a lot of this to me. But by the end of the summer, she was done. She was done. I mean, she's not upset about it or anything like that. But see, I'm thinking, first of all, I did it for myself. But also I know that it registered in her subconscious. I mean, I really think her
It's
subconscious.
engraved in her.
Yeah, I really think so. And my understanding, at least it's been my experience, is that there's been times that things are brought up to mind. I think of things that I hadn't thought of in years. And so I know our subconscious can do that, our higher self. So I figure, she heard this every day for 3 months, so it's in there. And I figure sometime in the future, she'll be able to draw from it.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. So it's kind of exciting. Yeah.
You talked about the feeling the love and the compassion. And then the last ripple is a lot about the love and compassion. Do you feel the love and compassion through the whole thing, or just primarily focus on the last ripple?
Well, yeah, you do. You always feel the love welling up in your heart, love and compassion and gratefulness and thankfulness. Because when they did the study, that was the real key that made everything jump and the chemicals go in your body. The last ripple, number 7, is from a little tiny book called The Greatest Manifestation Principle of the World. And this came from page 100. And it's, as you can see, it's more of a kind of like a prayer, a thing you would do with your family and stuff like that. So it's a little bit different than an affirmation, but it's the same. If you've ever read the one about the Hawaii Ho'oponopono, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. It's the same principle, I love you, I feel love, I feel God, thank you. So it's still the same principle. So yeah, you would want to kind of have that feeling all the time. Now I can tell you, there's sometimes I read this where I just read it. I didn't have the feeling or emotion for whatever was going on in my life, but it still works. It still sent out a ripple. So that's the difference. So if you just read it, it sends out a ripple. If you do it with passion and feeling and your imagination, it makes a wave. And then if you do repetition, several of them, it makes a current. And one of the experiments they did is that they had an apartment building with like 3 or 4 floors, and they had people in, they had everybody hooked up with sensors, and they had a person like in the middle raise their vibration. And sure enough, even though it was through concrete walls and steel rebar, the people in the other apartments around them, their vibration starts raising. So this helps. Not only does it help you, because you're getting the benefit of the chemical going in your body, but it helps your neighbors and your friends, even though they're not aware of it. So there's a lot of reason to do this. And the more people that do this, I'm thinking the better things are going to be and change. So it's interesting how this does affect everybody, in a good way. And so like I'll make a point at night to go out in my backyard and send energy in all 6 directions to all my neighbors. But of course I'm visualizing that it's actually going out farther, encompassing the world, our solar system, our galaxy, the universe. And so that's the kind of way I kind of visualize it. And I believe it helps. All my neighbors are real nice now. Not that they weren't before, but I mean, there seems to be everybody seems to be a lot of better mood. So I know it works. But apparently, according to the experiments they did, the neighbors on the apartments, it all affected them as well. So this is a good thing for all of us.
And for you too, all that good stuff comes back.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, I've had all sorts of neat things happen. Oh, just by doing about creativity being coming natural to me. Also, let me just give an example. I would sit in my backyard, and my granddaughter was going to school for the first time, going to elementary school, and so she wanted to have kids over, some of the neighborhood kids. And so these thoughts come to me. I had some broken chairs, and I went to Home Depot, got some Velcro straps, those big heavy duty, that hold like 300 pounds, put them on the edge of the chairs, got a chain and threw it up over our tree, and then put a swivel on it so it like swings real big and then spins like a Six Flags, just like a ride. Of course, they loved it. Then these thoughts come to you. I went to Home Depot and got a big chain, big spool of it, and I staked out in our yard this chain in a rectangle and bought a bunch of rope and had all the neighborhood kids weave through the links of the chain, and we made a net. And we put it between the two trees, so they can go from one tree to the other without, getting out of the tree and going down. Plus, it keeps them from falling, having the net around the tree. And then we had to put a zip line from one tree to another with a harness, so to
That's
say.
great.
And so so the thing is about being creative. That came naturally. It wasn't anything that happened. But see, I know it's because of this, So the thing, you'll think of stuff like that, So I know it works. At least that's been my experience and why I've been sharing in living rooms and backyards. And this is the first time we're here, so just a little nervous.
You did a great job.
Awesome.
You did a great job. I would have thought you'd done this many times.
I go to the ARE group, Brigida, and so we've done it with her group. And Joy has a group over in here in Fort Worth. I've done it at her group, so it's mostly been living room, so backyard. So they're good. So maybe I can come back in the spring and do it here.
2019?
Yeah.
Come and go to Harmony. For the-
Yeah, if somebody has to ask me. I mean, I would think they would like it. I can't imagine anybody not liking it. Because this is, no matter what you read, and these are written so nobody would be offended. All this stuff are the core beliefs of most all religions. Treat others as yourself. And of course, you notice the repetition that we're all connected, we're all one. That's the point I was, instead of telling my daughter, treat others as yourself, that's so trite now, everybody uses it. I taught her that if you understand that we're all connected, we're all one, what hurts you hurts me. What helps you helps me. So, we don't want to hurt anybody. And so that's kind of the point that I was trying to get across, and it worked, because she's even, I heard her say that, that we're all connected, we're all one.
Do you take donations?
What's that?
Do you take donations?
Well, for the printing, if you want to help with the printing, you can. Like I said, this is a thing of love for me to give everybody.
Well,
But
one day there's going to be so
I got
many
sad.
people that it might be helpful.
yeah,
Yeah.
there we go.
Yes.
Donate for the printing.
Yes.
But again, I want everybody to have this. Phil told me to make 100 of them, so I printed out 100 of them. I actually put all these together. You imagine how long it takes to stick a piece of paper in a plastic sleeve. It takes a while. But I enjoyed it because the whole time I was doing it, I was saying this. So, got it memorized. So, it's good.
Plus, those are seeds of love. All that.
No. This is all going to come back. It's all going to come back,
Yes.
I'm going to get the benefit on the back end. And so I've been doing this for a while, so I enjoy it. So I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I guess we're ready.